I want to talk about any resistance that you might have to stillness, to silence, presence, any resistance that you might have towards your sit-down meditation practice. Are you procrastinating? You can watch as many YouTube videos, read as many books like this about non-duality, presence, meditation as you like, but these teachings, they will remain purely conceptual unless you allow yourself to really just be, to let go of all of the concepts, to just let go of all of the doing and just rest in being, so that you can really integrate these concepts and have a deeper understanding of what you are learning from an experiential level. The stillness is where we create this space to awaken the witness. The stillness is where we create the mastery over the mind. It is where we are actually able to realize deeply what we are beyond the mind. But I don't want to talk about the importance of spaciousness and stillness. That's not why you're here. I want to talk about why we resist to begin with, and then how we can really approach this resistance. So firstly, why do we resist? Well, if you find that resting in stillness, in whatever that looks like, whether it's letting go of thoughts, whether it's sitting down in a meditation practice, whether it's just finding 5 minutes to just be and not do anything, if you have resistance in these areas and you feel this boredom, then it's probably because you're overstimulated. And you're probably addicted to the concepts, because the concepts bring this stimulation. It's no wonder that we're all overstimulated these days. We're completely bombarded with artificial stimuli all the time, with all this technology. You ask someone to wait for a bus 20 years ago for an hour, they could do that fine. They'll sit there, they'll watch the world go by. However, nowadays, if someone needs to wait for a bus for an hour with no smartphone, no device to keep them occupied, oh my gosh, the restlessness, the boredom though that would probably arise. Maybe not so much the older generation, I don't know, but definitely the younger generation. So we need to be mindful of the fact that we are overstimulated, and mindful of the fact that we might be a little bit addicted to this little rush of dopamine that we might get from these concepts, from the overstimulation that we are getting through learning these concepts. So yes, when we sit down to meditate, in our sit down practice, we're blocking out all of this sensory input. Our sense perceptions are completely blocked out. Our ears, our eyes, most of the time, depending on, sometimes people would like to sit down with their eyes open, but a lot of the time what we're doing is we're depriving ourselves of the senses so that we can really go inwards, where there is no stimulation. Even the thoughts we let go of, because even the thoughts can be stimulating. We let it all go, and yes, that can feel boring. How do we approach this? Well, good old-fashioned discipline. I am a big fan of playfulness. I really am. But just like this balance between being and doing, I think that we also need to develop a balance between playfulness and seriousness. And discipline is, it's rooted in seriousness. We need to take this seriously. Like, we want to wake up, right? This is everything that we feel so driven towards doing. So we need to take this seriously and create a window for a sit down practice every day and be consistent. Like a window of time where we know that we're going to shut everything out, be alone, to really just sit and be. And yeah, mindfulness meditation, we can do that at any point in the day, and I'll get to that. But having a sit down practice and being consistent with it, regardless of how reluctant we feel to do it, we've just got to do it, because it's so important. Because that window of time where you sit down and you intentionally watch your thoughts, whatever your technique is, whatever your practice is, that window of time is so important in really remembering. It's the reset button in the day. Preferably, I feel for me 2 times a day is preferable, but use your intuition. But it needs to happen. We need to be consistent with it. And yeah, that does require discipline. And we need to be extremely alert to what our mind is trying to say about this practice. So, okay, it's coming up. Oh, the mind might be creating some kind of narrative that says, oh, but I should do this, or blah, 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 blah. No. Just watch it. Don't succumb to the thoughts. Don't think about it. Just do it. That's the problem I find. It's thinking about it. Because when you start thinking about it, then you start believing the thoughts and listening to them. Nah, just do it. So, like, sometimes I'm really tired and my body hurts, so I just lie down. But at least I'm making my, it's not good to lie down during meditation because you might nod off. But at least, you've got there, you've done it. At least you're making the effort to go inward. Now, also, in terms of mindfulness, in terms of actually creating this, this presence in your life where we are constantly remembering to remember, we're constantly waking up into this dimension where we are the watcher, where we are awake in the present moment. In order to really create more of this in our life, then these little tasks that you have throughout the day, these monotonous activities like cooking, walking the dog, cleaning, we have a tendency to maybe listen to a teaching in the background, listen to music in the background. Now you want to engage discipline and turn off all of these devices, turn off everything, and use this activity as an opportunity to let go of thinking and focus entirely on the task that you are doing. Continuously redirecting yourself back to chopping the vegetables, back to the nature as you walk. This is now a spiritual practice of being, where what we're doing is we're actually fitting stillness into doing. We're fitting being into doing. Instead of going from one stimulating activity to the next stimulating activity, pause in between. The space between, guys, that is the key. That is the key. It's the space between things. That's the formless dimension, the space between your thoughts, the space between the breath, the space between the activities, the space in the room that holds the objects. Anyway, that space in between your activities, instead of going from one stimulating activity to the next, just sit down for 5 minutes and do nothing. Just be. Quieten your thoughts. You'll feel the pull to pick up your phone and open YouTube. Watch that urge. Bing, the phone goes off. Watch that urge to pick up the phone. You're really making that effort to be. At first, you got to make the effort. And then you'll start to fall in love with it. Then you won't want to listen to music as you walk down the road. Now, in your moments of stillness, like just now, I wasn't thinking, I was resting in thoughtlessness. In those beautiful, gorgeous, blissful moments. Don't resist restlessness and boredom as it arises. Instead, watch it, observe it, feel it. Allow it to be there. Realize that it is not you, which you will do because through your ability to observe that sensation, that feeling, then of course you realize that you are not it. Disidentifying from it is great. I think Ram Dass said, if you're bored, you're not paying attention. And that's true. If we're actually identifying with the boredom, then we're not alert. We're not awake in the present moment. We're lost in the illusion of identification with that boredom. And boredom in and of itself, it took me a little while to realize that I was feeling bored, to acknowledge it, to admit to myself, this is what this is. This restlessness, this is all boredom. It's a really strange thing, actually. It's not like in your face. For me, it's like a very dull kind of ache in my solar plexus area. And it's sometimes very subtle. It's difficult to realize that's actually what we're feeling, this restlessness inside of us. But yeah, main thing is allow yourself to be present with the boredom as it arises. I also do want to mention that potentially this resistance could also be a result of fear of feeling, basically. We've got stuff inside the pain body, as Eckhart would call it, and it comes up. This is not a deterrent to rest and stillness, because it's not always like that. But yeah, when we create this spaciousness, we've got stuff inside us that wants to come up because it has no place in the place that we are going. We're not bringing all of this stuff with us. So yeah, we've got to let it come up, and we either do it now or later. And when we're sat there in meditation and we suddenly feel like we need to move, I remember my old meditation teacher said, well, that's because, stuff's coming up, and when you move, it distracts you from feeling. I used to live with a girl, and she was very sociable. She was a really sociable girl. She used to live in the same room as her boyfriend. And she came up to me one day and she said, Jazz, whenever I'm in the shower, I just keep thinking about all these terrible things that have happened to me, all these embarrassing things that have happened to me. And I sort of thought, well, when do how often do you really have time to just be without your devices, without your boyfriend, without your university friends, and all of your hobbies and things? Well, not really ever. And that moment that she had in the shower where she couldn't reach for anything, talk to anyone, she just stood there. That was the time when everything was coming up for her. And it was just this resistance to really go inward. So sitting there and actually courageously feeling these sensations as they come up, realizing that they are sensations, they're energy in motion, they've been inside us for many years, and it is time for them to come up. It's time for them to be released. Consciously choose to let go of sense perceptions, let go of the doing, the dopamine, the thinking, and instead choose nothingness, choose being. Over time, you will fall in love with it. When I pause in these videos, be aware of, is your mind speaking or is it silent? Because I've fallen in love with that now. Don't get me wrong, I still have resistance, for sure, in areas. I'm not always like, oh, I can't wait to meditate. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I have not got the time or the patience today to really do this. I haven't got the time, but I make myself do it because I know once I sit down, it's so sweet to come into that nothingness. It really is. And yeah, you will love not thinking. You'll fall in love with that peace and those mundane activities now. Actually, you look forward to not having to engage your mind so you can redirect yourself back to the present moment, to coming home. That peace. You know how to access this. You know how to access that spaciousness in your mind, how to be. So many people don't. So many people don't know that. This is a blessing, actually, to be able to find that stillness away from thought. And the more that you allow yourself to do that, the more that you allow yourself to rest in that, wow, the more that you will fall in love with it. This is how it's happened for me. And yeah, I feel grateful that I have access to this amazing dimension of existence right here. And I don't know about you, but personally, I've actually had like the greatest, most blissful spiritual experiences I've had have come out of stillness. When I've been at sound meditations, or when I've been doing yoga, or just sat there in deep meditation. And that in and of itself, by the way, this is not to say that it's an incentive to kind of chase these blissful highs or whatever, because we don't want to continuously chase a high again. But the reason that I mention this is because that in and of itself, it says a lot. It's, those moments of bliss, they're connecting us to what we are beyond the ego. It's us connecting to our nature, to our true nature. So, again, isn't this what we feel that we are drawn to with trying to absorb all of this information and learn all these concepts anyway? We want to awaken. We want to really awaken to what we are beyond all of this form and this mind identification. Boredom is the ego's cry for more stillness, more presence. Something like that, said Prema Chodron. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name right, but they said something like that. So it's true. I feel that the more boredom and restlessness we feel, the more we really, really, really need to actually sink into being, to awaken that being dimension within us. Thank you so much for watching this video. My name's Jasmine. If you like this kind of stuff, please like and subscribe. I'm offering free 25-minute video chats if you want to speak with me. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye 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 bye.